everyone! This is Dragon Videos and welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are doing well and I hope you're ready because we are once again going back to the Owl House. And pretty soon we're no longer going to see our beloved characters doing any more wild adventures. Watching and dreaming will be the last one, and it's almost a couple days away. How scary is that? In all seriousness though, it is pretty sad that we're gonna be losing one of the best cartoons ever on the Disney Channel. But in spirit of that, I thought to at least go over a few more videos before it's officially ending. So for this list, I'm going to go over certain plot points in this show that forever changed what we knew about the characters, the lore of the land, as well as just the characters themselves. Bear in mind that there will be some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the episodes, I would suggest going back and rewatch them. So, bear in mind these are just my opinions alone, and get ready for some jaw-dropping plot points. So without further ado, let's begin. So, Lilith may not have had the best redemption compared to that of Hunter, but it was still decent nonetheless. And before that, she debuted in the first episode, or technically first season episode 5. She was in the convention trying to debut as a spokesperson for the Emperor's Coven, getting everyone on as the Emperor's right-hand lady. And of course wanting nothing more than to actually show what she can provide. What made this very interesting was Ida's reaction towards Lilith. And of course, Lilith, at the time, being the cute, adorable dwarf she was, she became this cold, heartless, and brutal person that would always fly a tantrum. But based on their reactions, they knew each other for quite some time, and of course being that of sisters. So you could definitely say that there's an interesting dynamic between the two. The reason why I put it on number 10 on this list is because it definitely gave some insight to Ida and Lilith's life. They do get along for the majority of the series. They still got in each other's throats in the first season, but not as bad as it was previously. And of course, one thing I liked about this is because it gave insight to what Lilith and Ida's life were like before everything went down. It also adds an air of mystery to Ida and the kind of life she had outside of being someone who's trying to scam people during a night market and such. But there are still more to come, so hang on. O Titan, where art thou was definitely where the Owl House crew was at their darkest moment. Their house has been gutted from the inside out, and they are on the run, and the day of unity was upon them. So of course, Rain, being the only coven head at the time, was trying to do everything in their power to stop the Day of Unity, or at least figure some way to end the Emperor's tyranny. And it kind of resulted in the backlash when they were captured by Darius and Eberwolf, the two other head witches of the Beast-Keeping and Abomination Coven. And of course, Ida and Luz got captured after they had a major disagreement of how things should be handled. To make matters worse, Ida was definitely saying that they were powerless. She still had her curse, so there was no way for her to access her magic or do anything about it.
fight anyone.
What's going on? Who are these people?
In a surprise twist of things, it turns out that Darius and Aberwolf were also on the same page as Rain, and thus resulted in a secret rebellion. And also meant in terms that Eda, Luz, and King were safe in the nick of time just before the Day of Unity would happen. I put this plot point in here because it definitely was where we were fearing for the worst for our beloved heroes, but then we had a huge sigh of relief because even though the stakes were high, they were not alone in figuring out who the Emperor really was and try to fix things before it was too late. While in King's Time they weren't exactly super successful, at least for now, it was just a huge relief that we all needed. According in one of her interviews, Dana Terrace stated that the Collector wasn't originally part of the plot, but here they are regardless, and they do put an interesting spin on the story, being a very malevolent godlike force that is bent on destruction and despair. The way that the Collector was presented in Hollow Mind, they definitely come across as practically the ultimate big bad by the end of the episode. And, well, the thing was, in a shocking twist of events, Belos had betrayed the Collector, although it should be of no surprise considering how many times that man practically stabs his subordinates in the back more times than Caesar was probably stabbed in his tragedies. Anyway, we learned something very interesting about the Collector by the time you reach For the Future. And yeah, they were still a bit childlike and crazy, but it turns like they were very vulnerable.
King, can I sleep with Francois?
Come on, you know I've only let one other person hold him.
Right, that human.
You can sort of say that, in a nutshell, the Collector is practically a little kid that suffered a lot of abandonment and trust issues. Surely they could talk him down, right?
What did I tell you? Luz has come to help King get rid of you for good. What will you do, Collector?
I think I want to play a new game.
Ruh-roh! Ah, yes. Our sad but bad boy. When he was presented as the Golden Guard, he came across as a bit of a ham in his debut in Season 2. Arrogant, cocky, and not above threatening others in order to get everything straightened out. He did have a sense of honor a little similar to that of Zuko's, keeping his word and trying to do something that isn't too harsh, to put it lightly.
Mind fills up into
So
a
when he
creature,
encounters Luz during
and it
Hunting
haunts me
Talisman,
somewhere
as well as
much
several other
deeper.
characters,
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough. I don't wanna feel stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can find foggy, all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me. But let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. It sucks when you finally feel like giving up. Oh God, no luck. Everything feels like you're sticky stuck. I'm lost, handcuffed to the bed where I sleep. Don't give a fuck, can't stop. Unplug, feeling overwhelmed. I think I've had enough. Gotta find a way to get some energy. Gotta find someone who's a good friend of me. I need purpose to make it all worth it. I'm still searching and I'm still learning. I want a life that's filled with memories, not a life with regret in front of me. I need focus to keep me from hopeless psychosis if I keep moping.
I got nightmares in my head. I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head. I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear. That my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me. But let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff.
Everyone loves King. He's an adorable furball with attitude. What he lacks in size, he makes up for it in spirit. Sometimes he does have a moment to be a voice of reason, which is ironic compared to Kikimora, who kind of parallels him a little bit as being a tiny person who is, well, she's starting to lose whatever sanity she has left. Putting that depressing fact aside, King was an air of mystery throughout the majority of Season 1. We didn't really know where he came from, and there were tons of speculations going into it. But I put this further down on the list because it definitely changed everything what we knew about King previously. So, it all started when King went to the small island that Ida had found him when he was younger. Upon going there, we see that there were tons of artifacts, strange images, as well as the fact that King soon remembered who he once was after Ida took him in as a little baby. He finally accepted the fact, and this was a bitter truth to swallow, that he wasn't the king of demons that he originally thought of. He was actually just a small little baby
out there having Ida.
Actually a kid.
Don't know a thing about their ravenous appetites or their terrible cries. Even their babies act like little monarchs. The last living titan. I saw it once. Before it disappeared, its hateful roar blew out my eardrums.
That is right, ladies
How
and
did it
gentlemen.
go?
When you listen to the list of what Bill is saying, apparently King is a titan. After all this time of coming up with a theory that King was possibly a titan or the baby of one, apparently we were flat out right. It almost cost him his life, that was for sure. So, when King learns of what and who he is, this definitely puts on a huge damper, but changes everything what we know about King. He wanted every power in his shoulders, but now that he learns of what he is and what sort of powers he can possess, he definitely feels a bit reluctant to giving them and wants to enjoy being a kid whenever possible. But the whole circumstances are still heartbreaking, nonetheless. Oh man, I can't stress enough of how much Amity has grown as a character, as well as Willow too. When you first see them in the season 1, and then compare it to season 3, you definitely see of how big their comparison was. So, when we saw them in I Was a Teenage Abomination, we wouldn't think none the wiser that these two were once friends. It wasn't until in Hooty's Moving Castle that we finally learned the truth about their relationship. Apparently they've been friends since they were little kids, and then all of a sudden they just went apart, and Amity decided to hang out with the wrong crowd. so much sadder than any of us expected, which is why I put it further down this list. Not only was this plot changer was sad, but it definitely changed what we knew about both Andy and Willow throughout the majority of the series. So, by the time we reached to understanding Willow, we soon learned that Willow had been suffering a lot of emotional pain. She was struggling with her powers, and of course, after a fiasco with her memory, Luz and Andy decided to go inside her mind to fix it, considering it was Andy's responsibility for causing the mess in the first place. And upon doing so, Luz soon learns the truth about their relationship. They were always that way. Not only were they just really good friends, but part of the reason why they had such a heart-wrenching fallout is death. Or arguably, Willow was at the moment, Willow had struggled with some concept of how strong she truly is, as well as Andy was struggling with pitch to uphold the harshest, cruelest words to poor was blackmailed by her parents. Little Dahlia, the little good, forsaken, narcissistic piece of trash she is, was part of the reason why Andy had her anxiety Who does this sort of thing? Choosing their friends over some stupid title that's part of an adult drama. So, yeah, overall, this was a very sad watch. In general, as well as establishing how far they will come later and what differences they would have worked at. Though it was a bit of a bummer we never got to see that development further in the series, at least it came off with some rewarding results. So, we're first introduced to Philip Whitbane by Season 2, Episode 5, the mysterious entry of a human that mysteriously disappeared after appearing a couple of years during the Deadwardian era, which was supposedly the Savage Ages. Curious of figuring out how to get her way back home, Luz enlists the help of Lilith in order to find out what's going on, so they take a little trip into time. Wait, what? What? Let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that this 9-track oven system, this government that these people have been relying on for years, is nothing more than a gold-faced lie the Savage Ages were alive?
keeps the
changed
curse
this
at
concept
bay.
of what we knew about the intruder was what
An elixir a
the
day keeps
true
the curse at
identity
bay!
was.
Curse? Wait, what are you trying to say?
I was wrong the whole time. That's no Snaggleback. That creature is...
Ida?
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. Turns out that it was none other than our beloved Owl Lady who was the monster that was attacking them, Hootie, as well as scaring them silly in that night. Apparently, she was cursed at a very young age. She's not 100% sure when it happened, though by the end of season 1 we already knew who was responsible for that curse. Ida had to struggle living with this curse for quite some time, and it does add some devastating concepts of her character. Not only was it somewhat a representation of those that suffer from mental illness, I think that's how the curse works, but it also represented of how much of an oddball that Ida really was. She's dealing with the fact that she's now cursed for the rest of her life, as well as some heights the stakes of what Luz and King are getting themselves into, which is probably why they should have never taken the potions in the first place. And let's just hope that by the end of season 3, things get better for her. So we all knew that Luz was one of our fan favorites, our beloved go-lucky happy girl who would always bring cheer whenever possible. I mean, true, at the beginning of a series she came off as a bit destructive, not following instructions from anyone else, as well as a tendency of bringing snakes to school. And we do have mixed feelings about her going to a camp, but later on we definitely learn more about the dark sides of her, namely the fact that she's so willing to learn magic was part of it because not only was she wanting to be Azura, but her father gave her that book before he passed away, which was possibly the last gift that was from him. So in some ways, if you think about it, magic is practically the only connection she has to her father. And on top of that, we learned that she wasn't exactly very valued. Well, there were hints of it in the beginning of the series about her life back in the human world. She was considered a nobody back home, and that she was considered cheesy amongst the rest of her peers. I mean, we all knew that she got a little crazy with her schemes at times and unrealistic, but surely she didn't deserve that amount of hate. However, when we get to thanks to them, we learn a very devastating truth. In actuality, she is considered an outsider in more ways than one. Since childhood, she was freaked out, or she freaked everyone out by the fact of bringing some dead snake skin over as to present it to them because it was cool and interesting. But the other kids ran away screaming and was looked down by the other townsfolk. It only got worse as Luz got older, and poor Camila was trying her best to protect her daughter, but the more the things continued on in terms of being looked down at, the more she struggled with trying to protect her daughter. It got bad after the point where she was forced to have Luz sent to the camp because of her own personal demons. I'm telling you this town, Graysfield, is literally the definition of a toxic community. I mean, sure, they allow LGBTQ rights, but if you pay attention, this definitely wasn't a place to raise kids, in my personal opinion. I mean, would you want to have someone constantly telling you there's something wrong with your kid all the time? Or rejecting them because they're a little bit quote-unquote weird? So yeah, this definitely was the definition of a heartbreaking situation because Camila didn't want to remove what makes Luz such a great person, and Luz didn't want to be removed of the identity that makes her her. So in a lot of ways, this definitely was one of the biggest plot shakers in this series of all time because It not only changed of what we knew about Luz, but as well as Camila, and what started to add some more weight to the very first episode of The Owl House. So what do you guys think? What other heavy plot shakers do you think were in The Owl House that felt like that was so important to include? So do a like and subscribe, as well as check out my community page for polls. This is Dragon Videos, signing off.